Welcome back to the show. Check out these headlines. Now, we've got ETH and we've got ETF news, but guess what else? The settlement talks are back and they are very much alive in the SEC versus Ripple case. Let's get into this. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $2.56 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is up 0.7%, 66,500 plus for Bitcoin, 3,500 plus for Ethereum, 112 billion plus market cap for Tether. And we see right now USDC is at 32.4 billion plus market cap. XRP is 49 cents here on the chart. We're up 3.5 on the 24. We're up 0.4 on the 7-day. Now let's take a look at price here. On the fiat link chart, we're at 51 cents, however, ranging between 49 and 51 cents. We'll keep an eye on it here. It says we're up 3.34 on the 24. Now let's get into this very quickly here. It's linked to. It's the best private equity in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Don't believe me? Google it. They'll tell you. They'll give you the numbers on it. Click the link to my sponsor below and get started today for the best private equity in every emerging field available. I kid you not. This is a remarkable opportunity, and I want to remind everybody right now that they have the most affordable minimums to get started, too, of any private equity offering in the world. Don't believe it. It's still true. Click the link to my sponsor below and get started today. Let's get started on this video right now. Australia's ASX approves its first Bitcoin ETF with VanEck Bitcoin ETF under the ticker VBTC launch on June 20th. So just 4 days from now, direct exposure to Bitcoin's price. This is another region of the world opening up ETFs. Again, I've proposed, and well, let's look at the next piece of news here. And we know that we reported to you just a day or so ago that spot Ethereum ETF trading is set to begin on July 2nd, according to Bloomberg analyst Eric Balchunas. And this was due to the recent testimony of Gary Gensler admitting that the ETFs were going to be cleared and approved when he was pressed to give an answer of whether Ethereum was a security or not. And he wouldn't answer that, but he let this answer out in the interim. So this is what we know so far. If it changes, we'll let you know. But again, I say, watch out for USD Tether. Watch out. MiCA regulations are saying that it doesn't classify as a stable coin in the EU. And here I'm seeing ETFs, spot ETFs set up to draw liquidity from a different area other than the crypto space through USD Tether for Ethereum and Bitcoin, with ETF spots being opened up. So let's keep an eye on what happens to USD Tether, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see. Ripple affiliate CoinsPH joins new remittance network reaching unbanked Filipinos here. And it says blockchain firm is a part of an 11,000 strong network of cash out counters launched by Union Bank of the Philippines. And then Smoke Dog goes on here and says JP Morgan connecting with Ripple's on-demand liquidity. How about that one? You can see they're on the list right here, Ripple documentation. Shout out to Chad and Smoke Dog for that. And let's go on to this. As we know, Bank of International Settlements has found that 94%, you hearing this number? 94% of central banks surveyed are exploring central bank digital currencies. Now, why am I showing it? Well, 94% is a staggering number. It's almost the entire world, all the central banks of the world, right? And soon it will be. Now, what this looks like on the other side is what we want to know. Central bank digital currencies issued directly from a government and or a treasury are pretty scary to me because you can easily attach social credit scores to that. That's why we're watching this closely. But then there's the other side of this. The other side of this is that in order for us to really see the utility and liquidity come to networks like the XRP ledger, we need vehicles like stablecoins and CBDCs. CBDCs are nothing more than a stablecoin that's directly issued from a government, which makes it a central bank digital currency. It also makes it a little more scary that the government has that kind of direct power, which is why I don't want the U.S. to have it. I also don't want a private issuer like Ripple or USDC to have the kind of power that Twitter has had, where it could be weaponized against its own citizens of the world. And that's exactly what we've witnessed. So I don't want a private sector company to have that kind of power either. So there are things that need to be worked on. There are conversations that need to be had. I think Chris Giancarlo is really leading that effort and by a mile with anyone. So this is important. But these vehicles, these instruments have to happen. Paul Ryan urges America to embrace stablecoins to maintain dollar dominance. And I've talked about this plenty as well. This is relevant. In order to remain powerful, in order to have a chance to keep the dollar dominant, even as you roll out at the introduction of a bridge asset like XRP, you need to remain relevant by having digital dollars. Again, I'm totally into a public-private relationship with companies to get that done. I'm also totally into making sure that that integrity and design is scripted so it can never be tied to a social credit score, and that it respects the anonymity and privacy of every holder of the world of a digital dollar. And that right there in itself, I think, is the main ingredients to keep the dollar dominant in a digital world. But these instruments are important because, look, it's not just dollars, right? Stable coins can be stable coins for a commodity, oil, gold, silver. Stable coins can represent, other, you name it, right? Hard, soft commodities, wheat, soybeans. You get it, right? It's soft commodities, hard commodities. It does it all. Stocks, bonds, derivatives, absolutely. That's what we're talking about. This is the tokenization of the world. That's why these things are so important. But it'll be these instruments that move and represent the value in the digital realm. And we're not going to really see the kind of adoption that I'm certainly looking for until we see the introduction of these instruments. So it's very bullish to me to see 94% of all central banks working on that. Ripple CEO says it's a strange market that has not rewarded, it's strange that the market has not rewarded XRP. And again, I think this speaks exactly to what I just talked about. And that's why I just brought it up and talked about it. 94% of central banks of the world are exploring CBDCs. We know that there's a call to embrace stablecoin bill legislation, which has already passed the House, or the FIT bill's passed the House. We need to get something done, stablecoin at the very minimum, because these instruments are going to unlock the use of the protocols that we want to see used by institutional financial institutions and the rest of it. This is what needs to happen. If it doesn't pass, it's going to take longer for it to happen, I believe. That doesn't mean we won't see market action in the interim from other things, but let's move on because there is other things to talk about, like the SEC versus Ripple case. Well, this has gotten quite interesting. Boy, I tell you, the SEC does not embarrass very easily. The SEC is now pursuing 102.6. Now, let's not forget the 0.6. $102.6 million penalty from Ripple, a substantial reduction from the nearly $2 billion, remember $1.9 billion, originally sought. Ripple recently proposed a $10 million penalty, citing the Terraforms case. Well, this is the letter here, and you can see down here where they're asking for $102.6 million penalty. And what's interesting about this is they've originally wanted $1.9 billion, right? And now it's, you could follow, like they've sent this letter here from the Terra Labs case, whatever it is, Terraform Labs and Dalquan, where they won that case. They also don't mention in this letter that they are not anything like the Ripple case. Dalquan and Terraform Labs absolutely did illegal activity. There is no illegal activity whatsoever in the Ripple case. This is unbelievable how embarrassing this is. I can't believe I have to sit here and explain this. It drives me crazy. I can't even imagine how Brad or Chris or everybody at Ripple feel about watching this happen right now. It's so utterly absurd. But the problem is there's so much at stake. So you have to take it serious. It's just no other way. But let's go back to the idea and understand this. So they originally asked for 1.9 billion. They're now submitting a letter of an example of a case that doesn't match Ripple at all and asking for 102 billion, 102.6 million. Now, that's interesting to me because that's desperate, right? That's literally like the scammer who says, you got to send me $5,000 worth of Bitcoin, and then you don't do it if they tell you to do it in 24 hours. And then in, like 22 hours, they go, okay, 1,500 then, they even know that they weren't really representing themselves properly to ask for 1.9 billion. Now they're sending really like an amendment, like, hey, judge, we just wanted you to see this example in a case where we won that's nothing like the Ripple case, right? But we still think, you should tether, because they even used the word tether this case in determining. It is asking the court to tether its penalty determination in this case to the settlement of Terraform. That's exactly what they're asking here. It's absurd. It is absolutely absurd. The SEC is completely out of control, and they're using our tax dollars to do it. Don't you get me started. Okay. Stuart Alderati says the SEC is raging. Ripple defended itself, agreeing to nothing. The court gave clarity that XRP is not a security. There are no victims to compensate. And worst of all, for the SEC, Ripple is thriving. But at least the SEC seems to have abandoned its absurd demand for $2 billion. This is Stuart Alderati, Chief Legal Counsel for Ripple, acknowledging that it is dwindling for them, and the SEC knows it. They've quickly gone from $2 billion ask to $102.6 million, trying to tie it to a case that's not relevant at all. So I've always said between 10 and 50 million. Now, who am I? I'm guessing. But Ripple submitted a thing that said 10 million. I could easily see the judge going, you know what? Well, it's certainly not 102, so I'll just cut that in half, and this is where we're at. You could see, look, I hope it's $0 because they've all actually. I hope it's a countersuit, and that the SEC has to pay the legal cost of Ripple. That really is the right ruling to me, right? Because they didn't break any laws. They could have solved this in a meeting in one day, but nevertheless, I believe the case is just as much a vetting and an audit process as it is a legal matter, right? So that has brought new talks. The SEC new filing in the Ripple case stirs settlement debate because the SEC is obviously admitting in the submission of that letter that they know $2 billion is out of the question too. So you have to wonder, if they submitted the official letter, what is the back channel talk that's going on there for the SEC to want to recognize that $2 billion ain't going to happen? So they're trying for 100 now. It is pathetic that the SEC is operating in this manner, and it's even more disgusting and despicable that they're using American taxpayer dollars to do it and to lie in different court cases along with this one. It's just pathetic. But that's where we are on this day, ladies and gentlemen. Not financial advice of me or anyone else. By the way, I'm available for retirements and children's parties too. So if you need me, I'll take the call. I hope everybody has a great day with family and friends. Happy Father's Day to all of you out there, wherever you are. And I will catch all of you on the next one.